Okay, so we do take requests. This is an example of that. So again, after our last webinar, we had a few people reach out and they were asking about how they could integrate Sandbox into their current LMS environment. So what we're going to cover today, so I'm going to cover some of the recent platform updates. We've started using a new naming system for our updates that follows mythical creatures. This update was Jormungandr. I'm probably butchering that, so if you're very particular about the pronunciation of your mythical creatures, I apologize. I believe is the Midgard serpent, but feel free to look that up more on your own. I'm going to give a recap of the previous webinar. So that's going to be what Sandbox is and what it can do, what its use cases are. And then I'm going to give a brief demonstration and a live demo about how you can create a sandbox for your students, use that in an LMS, and kind of the purpose and everything that it can cover. I also have a little bit of surprise for you guys at the end. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter webinar. So if you guys don't have many questions towards the end, where I'm going to be able to show you guys some of the new tools that we're working on, which are really exciting. Okay, so some of the recent updates. So these are in the Jormungandr updates that we've been working on for the past 2 weeks. We've officially migrated our platform from CoffeeScript to ES6, which is very exciting. We've improved our smart scaler. Our smart scaler is what we use to scale up and down our containers and our servers, which are always hot. So this enables us to provide our users with really quick load times. So this is a way that we can help improve that in making sure that everyone has all the containers they need when they need them. We've been hard at work on providing a more open means of gaining metrics. So we've always had a lot of data on how people use our platform and how your users use the platform. And recently we've been pushing to make that more available to everyone. So I'll show you where you can find that in your account and all the different metrics that you can pull and gain access to on your students, on your courses, on your users and projects, etc. We've added new URLs as well to our platform. So if your organization has a list of whitelisted URLs for a firewall, please reach out to us. We have them in our documentation, and I believe there was an email that was sent out last week as well about the entire list that should be whitelisted in a firewall. But if you have any questions on that, please reach out to us, and we will clarify and work with you on making sure that you have everything you need so that our services aren't being blocked by any firewalls. We have also upgraded our security and process monitoring. So this includes, we now monitor certain processes that are running on a container, and we've done that to help combat abuse of our terms of services. If we do detect that, there is an IP address will be blacklisted. If you do believe that you are part of an organization that's had an IP address blacklisted, or one of your students was fooling around and maybe abused the terms of service, just kind of learning, please reach out, let us know, and we'll unblock that IP address. And finally, we've also been updating and enhancing our logging system as well. It's pretty robust. So that helps us greatly when we are troubleshooting a lot of the issues that we get. So when tickets are opened up, we can now go into our logging system and we have a lot more information at our disposal to help solve those problems. This is a sample of the report page that I was talking about with new metrics. So there are a couple more fields that I couldn't fit onto the screen, but the ones that you see in front of you are daily usage digest, project usage digest, and user engagement. These will tell you how many minutes are basically the usage of each student, the usage of each project, how many sessions students are opening up, what are your most popular courses and topics, how many students are taking them, or are they spending more time in certain project than others. Other data that we also have too that isn't shown is we have task metrics as well. So if you have courses that have assessments, we have the ability to provide you which of those assessments are causing your students a lot of problems, which ones have a high pass rate, which ones have a high fail rate, and maybe the abandonment rate for a course as well. So if you have a lot of students who are starting to take a course and they're not finishing it, they're dropping out, we'll be able to tell you that as well. These can be found in the company section of your account, so I'll be sure to cover that when we get started with the live demo. So quick recap on what is Sandbox for those who weren't able to attend the last webinar or are new. So Sandbox provides quick access to ephemeral coding instances, mostly for developers and learners. It's become less ephemeral. We are now persisting coding files in the state, but the original design was essentially to be able to have this quick access to a full development coding computing environment where a student or a developer could load up an online tutorial or a teacher could provide a identical instance for their entire class to follow along, basically cutting down on the time it would take to set up an entire environment just to run some code, test an API, explain a topic, or showcase a new API functionality or something like that. If you have an account, you can launch these yourselves using the nt.dev/URL. So if you are interested in firing up a Python URL, all you need to do is make sure you're logged in, go to your URL search bar and type in nt.dev/Python Java frontend for HTML and CSS, Go, JavaScript, pretty much try any language that you can think of. We don't have a complete list yet of all of those. Those are being added to our documentation, so I expect those to be up hopefully by the end of the week. And we are actively working on the ability to directly share Sandbox as well. So what are we going to be covering today? So Sandbox, as a feature in itself, you're not able to embed it or use it in an LMS or LTI. So I'm going to go through and show you how you can kind of replicate Sandbox-like functionality, not the complete picture, but a very, very similar experience in an LMS so that students have access to it, whether or not you use a custom delivery method, if you're using Blackboard, Thinkific, Canvas is really popular. So I'm going to use the LMS LTI emulator tool online to kind of show you how easy it is to get that into an environment. And let's start the demo. Real quick, I'm first just going to show you where you can find those metrics for those who have an account. So you can simply go to your profile up here in the top right, and you're going to scroll down to company. And it will either be the last or second to last option up here in the right, in the options bar. This is a demo account, so I don't have any data in it, but essentially you would be able to select by month what report you want to get and download that in the form of a CSV. You can then import it into Excel, create pivot tables, or import multiple months to create trends. So it's very flexible. So that's kind of how you are able to get those metrics. If there's something specific that these metrics aren't covering that you would like, please drop us a note. We are actively working on making these more robust, and we have the data, but a lot of what we export directly to you guys comes from our users. I think I saw someone in the chat mention a usage dashboard. We are thinking about, I think yesterday we had a conversation internally about providing charts and graphs to this this isn't really a dashboard yet, to a dashboard. That's kind of what you're looking for. Hopefully I have some good news on that front in the coming months. Okay, so I'm going to jump back over to the creator and load up one of the demos. First, I'm going to show how you would embed a regular lab using LTI and LMS. It's the exact same. And then I'm going to show you kind of how you would create a replicate Sandbox environment for your students, or if you were a developer or you were training developers, how you would do that as well. So this is the WYSIWYG Editor. For those who don't know or haven't seen our platform yet, this is what you use to kind of create these environments. It's almost identical to what a student would see, as you'll see very shortly once I embed it. This is a full lab. This particular exercise, the student is building a calculator using Swing and Java. So let's embed this into the LMS LTI consumer tool. So to do that, you want to scroll down to the Publish tab down here on the bottom left of the options. There's going to be a few different options because there's multiple different ways that you can embed our platform and our service. So you can do it using an iframe if you want it to go directly onto your website. You can also use tokens, custom user data, and passback. We do have a few down here. These are a little older, but we did have custom URLs directly for Thinkific and some of these other options. Teachable is another one as well. But for instance, let's say we wanted to embed into Canvas. You're going to want to scroll down here to the LTI URL and copy this directly into the appropriate field in the LMS that you're going to be using. Next, you want to copy your publishable key and your secret key. These will map to the consumer key and the secret key in most LMSs. And you're welcome to steal these keys because this is a demo account. Security first. So now I've set up my keys. I'm going to launch that lab in a new window, and this will be what a student would see in their LMS, barring any custom LMS skin that surrounds this environment. So it loads very, very quickly, and it's a very, very simple process to get that involved. If you're looking for very specific LMS integrations, we do have more details in our documentation. So if you're looking for, Canvas is a really, really popular LMS. So we do have pretty detailed instructions about how to embed our labs into different LMSs: Canvas, Teachable, Moodle, Blackboard. And if you're using one that we don't have and the process is different, feel free to reach out and we will work with you guys on making sure that everything works as expected. And we can run this just to make sure it works as well. And this is just an example of one of our GUI applications that you can run. So the process to create a Sandbox-like environment, so this would be one that doesn't have instructions, is more of a throwaway. It gives the student the ability to maybe pick up a new topic, just kind of test something out, follow along with the instructors writing on a blackboard or has up on a projector. The process for that is very, very similar. It does require a different setup process. So I'm going to open up this Python sandbox that I created. And this is what you're going to get. So I guess I could start over. So you just want to go up there and create that new content button. You're going to want to select the language that you're interested in either providing to your students or to your developers. And for this one, I'm going to pick Python. You're going to want to leave the instructions blank, but what you may want to do is fool around with the settings. So in this particular instance, I have a code editor that doesn't have any files in it, and I have a terminal. For this demo, I actually don't even need the code editor because I'm not going to be editing any files. I'm actually just going to be downloading some stuff using apt-get install. So I can actually get rid of this completely. So I'm going to go to one pane. And I'm just going to be using the terminal. I'm also just going to enable all of these options so that I don't need to have multiple sandboxes, whether or not I wanted to use Jupyter Notebooks as well with Python. Or if I was running a Flask application, I would also have access to a web browser. Okay, and then let's see. This would be kind of what your students would see. We can rename this. Let's rename this Webinar Sandbox Demo. The process is going to be identical to the one we did with the Java lab. You're going to go to the Publish section, and you're going to copy the URL. And you're going to copy in the consumer and secret keys, what we call the publishable key and the secret key. This is what your students or developers would get, and it's fully functional. So let's see, I can do update. And then I want to do this. May take a little while to run, but what it's doing, for those of you who aren't familiar with the command line, I'm right now installing a program, a calculator program to run in the sandbox. So this is a really good use case for what a developer or a student might want to do. So if they come across an online tutorial or a library in GitHub, they may want to install it here, test it out, make sure it's what they want or need before they go through the trouble of setting up their own development environment. And in this day and age, it's really important, especially for developers, to do that because they have access to so many different but similar performing libraries in different languages. So if you're looking at maybe you want to check the performance of an R library for data science over a Python library, you can do it here instead of setting up those local environments and running them yourself. So now I just want to do GNOME. I gotta open up a desktop tab as well. See that GUI. And I've downloaded and I've run a calculator straight from the web. So that is a really good use case for how students and developers would use Sandbox. Another use case that we've seen and heard people want to take advantage of is providing these custom sandboxes for students before they go to a class. That way the instructor can provide them with the material that they need and the students can follow along. Also providing them outside of class so that students have environments, pre-configured environments as well, so that instructors don't need to spend time troubleshooting one student using one compiler in CodeBlocks and another student using another compiler in NetBeans, or package management system as well. So that is a popular use case right now for Sandbox, and being able to embed that into the LMS tool is one way that we've seen this being delivered, especially if we have users who aren't interested in using the Sandbox feature on our website. Is there any questions regarding that process? Just type it into the chat and hopefully I'll see it. What I wanted to cover now was kind of some of the new functionality that we've been working on with Sandbox and vscode. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been playing around with vscode, and we've actually come to releasing our alpha. So you can actually now, if you go to our website and you have an account, you can go to the Sandbox section and you can run VS Code instance on our infrastructure. And one of the reasons why this is so exciting is not only because VS Code is the most popular coding environment that there is, according to both HackerRank and the GitHub developer reports, but it also enables us to use an entire plethora of features that weren't available before. So if you're familiar with VS Code, this is what that editor looks like, and it's right into our platform. Fair warning, this isn't alpha, so we do have plans to update this pretty heavily into our beta before it's like officially released. But one of the great things about this feature is that it gives you access to the Microsoft, like the VS Code extension library. So you have the ability to download language support, new themes. One of the ones that we really like is, and it's very popular, is the live share feature, which we can install. And what that'll allow is for custom collaboration. So as long as users are signed into their GitHub account, they can collaborate with other users, and it'll be a very similar experience to like Google Docs or Microsoft OneDrive, where you can see the other user's cursor and you can work on code collaboratively. You can have instructors supporting students, so a student can send their instructor their live share URL. An instructor can open that, go in, and troubleshoot with the student in real time. This also allows for custom GitHub management and theming. There's really a lot you can do with this. So if you're interested, definitely sign up, get an account, and go around and play around with it. Try and break it. It is an alpha, so it is a little fragile, but we've been using it internally, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been really cool, and it's definitely something that's really, really popular. If you do think of anything afterward, you have a follow-up question, please send me an email with your questions, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.